I'm anxious to explore the saloon to investigate the strange activity caught by our cameras. After all, this is one of the prime locations where visitors claim to see the ghost of the town's most notorious resident, George Ives.
We go in and check that camera. Wow. So did it get disconnected? I'm just trying to figure out why it went black.
You'd have to purposely knock this over.
So yeah, it's on right now. You can see the lights.
Okay, so then why were we getting black?
I actually don't know. It's so weird.
We checked the saloon for anything that might have knocked this camera over.
Just trying to see if there's any signs of any animals that could be living in here.
George, are you here?
I don't see anything.
George, if you're here, now's your time to speak up.
After conducting a call and response for George Ives in the saloon, we decide to let the cameras roll and head back outdoors and into Nevada City's original cemetery to search for Ives's famously lost grave.
Place gives me the creeps.
I believe his final resting place could be the source of all the paranormal energy that he's unleashed in town.
Can't even see a date on this one. It's like an unmarked grave.
Ives was so reviled for the alleged murder of local merchant Nicholas Tybalt, he was buried in an unmarked grave that to this day has never been found. According to the legend, he still wanders the grounds at night, bitter over a wrongful hanging and an insulting burial. And some say the haunted curse of Nevada City will continue until his final resting place is rediscovered.
Check this out. That's definitely somebody's grave.
1894. I mean, these people were alive when George Ives was alive. It's wild to think that the entire community probably came out to watch him get executed.
Oh yeah, they hated that man.
The legend is that Ives was buried outside of the cemetery, so we look for any signs of a burial beyond the edge of the graveyard.
So what should we be looking for out here? I kind of feel like he could be anywhere under this.
I think our best chance contacting him would be to use the recorder.
So you want to try to find the grave by speaking out to him?
Well, yeah, or at least just getting him to give us a response of some sort.
Okay.
Using a sensitive audio recorder, I'm attempting a call and response session. If the ghost of George Ives is haunting this town, this may be the best place to contact him.
George, are you here outside the cemetery? George, are you angry with the town? What was that?
I don't know. I'm not seeing any eye shot.
That was a scream. That was a scream.
To me, that sounds like an animal. There's grizzly bears here, wolves here, mountain lion.
It sounded like a human scream to me.
I just can't accept that that is a human ghost screaming out there when we're in one of the wildest places in America.
Don't you think it's a little odd that it happened right when I was asking George if he was angry?
I can admit, it's weird timing.
We continue investigating around the graveyard for several hours. One thing is for certain. Something out here made a terrifying noise, and we captured it. Whatever this is, it lines up to historic accounts of distant screams that date back for over a century. So I'm headed back to the cemetery to meet with Tom Rust and Crystal Alegria, two archaeologists who have been actively hunting for George Ives with technology that can see the unseen.
So you guys are on the hunt for George Ives.
We are. Well, we've been trying to find out where the unmarked graves are.
What is kind of the process to try and find George Ives?
Our first step was to survey the entire cemetery. So we came up with this map here where we used a magnetometer to measure the Earth's magnetic field as well as any ferrous objects underneath. But that tells us where there's magnetic anomalies that might indicate where there are graves.
We were searching kind of in the far end of the old section of the cemetery, so am I right? Am I wrong?
We've done a lot of oral history research, and we heard George Ives was buried on the east side of the cemetery, outside the fence.
Okay.
We do have documentation that says he was buried next to Nicholas Thibault.
They buried him next to the victim?
Yes.
I feel like that is a poor choice.
Yes, exactly.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, you're kidding me? That's terrible.
Definitely a mark of disrespect. Maybe it's so he could torment Ives in the afterlife. He can, dance on Ives's grave. They oftentimes would bury criminals in ne'er-do-wells north-south instead of east-west. So when Jesus comes on the second coming, you can have the sun shine on you and you can meet him. And Ives, they would have put him north-south so they don't get that same privilege.
I had no idea about that. That is twisted. If Ives was buried in a north-south orientation right next to Thibault, who was buried east-west, then that gives us a very distinct signature to look for. Would they have been in a T formation then?
We can only speculate. We're hoping that formation will give us some marker that we can see using our equipment.
Ives and Thibault were buried next to each other in a T formation just outside the cemetery gates. So to scan for that, we're using ground penetrating radar, or GPR, to look below the Earth. GPR sends high-frequency radio waves to detect the depth and location of objects buried underground. So hopefully we'll get lucky and pinpoint where Ives has been hiding all these years.
Hey, I think I found something.
Oh, yeah.
No, but it's a very distinct signature.
Whoa. So this could be George Ives.
It could be. This looks like it's fitting the pattern. So you got him going there, you got him doing this. That's the T that we've been looking for right there.
The data discovered by ground penetrating radar does in fact indicate a T-shaped disturbance underground. Well, it all matches up to what everybody was saying, where they would have been buried outside of the cemetery gates on the eastern side in that T formation so that Nicholas Thibault could get his revenge on George Ives.
Right,
and
right.
boom, there you go, right
We
here.
haven't seen anything else like this.
Crystal and Tom won't be able to excavate here without the deceased's next of kin and court approval, so it could be a while before we know if their theory is right. But for a nearly 200-year-old missing persons case, it's one hell of a lead.